Did you ever wonder where the Twinkie comes from? Well, the story starts with the invention of shortbread in the 16th century, Scotland. A cake made of butter mixed with flour to make a rich, crumbly pastry. Butter, as a key ingredient, was rarely mentioned in medieval recipe books, which were reserved for nobility, and although nobility indeed used butter, this ingredient was found in common food. You see, butter was valuable as a source of higher fat and easily storable substitute for cream, so an emerging middle class began to use it everywhere they could, including in sweets. The cooking method of the shortcake eventually spread to England, where it was made as more of a cake and likely brought to the American colonies as a result. As we know it, the strawberry shortcake, a legendary dessert associated with the mid-1800s America. It contained cream, sugar, eggs, baking soda, and strawberries, of course. And indeed, it was the strawberry shortcake that evolved into the Twinkie. However, the Twinkie itself was first made on April the 6th, 1930, thanks to the imagination of James A. Dewar, a manager for the Continental Baking Company just outside of Chicago, Illinois. He saw the unused shortcake finger molds collecting dust in the storeroom, and the only time they were used was during the 6 weeks that strawberries were in season. Yes, as you've guessed it, for strawberry shortcake. But Dewar saw potential in the shortcake as something more, and began to make them with a banana cream filling, a fruit that was available year-round thanks to the emerging shipping logistics of the time. He got the idea for the name on a business trip when he saw a billboard for Twinkie toe shoes. From there, Twinkies were marketed as a low-cost snack for children, especially needed during the economic downturn of the Great Depression. A pack of 2 was sold for a nickel, which comes to about $1 in today's money. But just as the Great Depression was coming to an end, the Second World War erupted, further altering the course of this treat. Twinkies, as we know them today, resulted from rationing during wartime, preventing the import of foods like bananas. You see, the United States had different priorities at the time, and the yellow fruit required fast refrigerated ships to ship them before they spoiled. But those same ships were also suited for going up against German U-boats, allowing them to deliver food to countries like Britain, whose supply lines were cut off. As a result, Dewar changed his recipe to include vanilla filling, which became far more popular than the original banana recipe. Twinkies saw a few changes after that, with Continental adding vitamins and other substances that would increase the treat's shelf life. Before its merger with Interstate Bakeries, later Hostess in 1995, they upped their marketing by using cartoon mascots like Twinkie the Kid, a cowboy-type character during the peak of America's Western fascination. They also had mascots for ho-hos and ding-dongs, which we might make separate videos on in the future. And these are quite interesting because some of the Twinkie variations were also very regional, such as chocodiles that were only sold on the West Coast, causing the most hardcore Twinkie fans to seek them out on the black market for costs as high as $20 a pop. So considering that long and interesting history, how exactly has the Twinkie changed? Well, modern Twinkies are made in factories instead of by hand, with batter containing wheat flour, sugar, high fructose corn syrup, niacin, water, egg cornstarch, shortening, and lots of preservatives. This batter is poured into custom-made molds, with each batch weighing up to 2,000 pounds or 1 ton. Then, the cakes are baked and cooled. At any time, 35,000 cakes are cooling, with another 15,000 in the oven. Finally, sweet vanilla cream is injected through the bottom before they are flipped over, packaged, and shipped away. About 1,100 Twinkies are produced every minute, with 1.1 million eaten daily, and more than 500 million Twinkies are sold every year. With that in mind, I think it's safe to say that Twinkies had made their mark on American pop culture. They're simply heralded as the quintessential junk food, and during their prime, they were celebrated in ways that were almost unimaginable. For example, Twinkies were placed in the Millennium Time Capsule. They were served at the White House and achieved worldwide fame thanks to appearances in movies such as Ghostbusters. And there was also a moment that Hostess brought back that famous classic banana flavor. all good things must come to an end, and by the 2010s, American sensibilities and movies like Super Size Me had deemed junk food the enemy, causing a switch to healthier foods. And as a direct result, Hostess suffered a series of bankruptcies, and the Twinkie, famous as it is, was under threat. You see, after falling sales and union disputes, Hostess shuttered its factories in 2012. Twinkie fans scrambled to grab every box of the snack that they could before it was gone for good. But luckily, the company was acquired by Metropolis, a private equity firm, for $410 million. A reduced number of factories reopened 8 months later in 2013, and soon after, Twinkies were back on the shelves. Since then, Hostess has introduced a variety of low-calorie Twinkies while focusing on returning to its former glory. Just this year, Hostess sold for $5.6 billion to the Smucker Company as America has seen a surge in snacking. With that in mind, it's clear that Twinkies are here to stay. But what about the legacy of their creator, James A. Dewar? Well, he rose through the ranks to the regional vice president at Hostess, eating 3 Twinkies a day until his death at the age of 88. There's a saying that looks are not everything. And we can apply that to this situation, because this tastes unlike any Twinkie I ever ate. I mean, there's a semblance, right? You can tell that it's like a Twinkie in form.
Twinkie-like.
But the biggest difference I can give you, or the biggest analogy that I can provide, is it's like you can eat strawberry or you could eat strawberry flavor. And they remind you of one another, but one is clearly better. In this case, this is the real strawberry prepared by my lovely bride.
Okay.
And doesn't look so great, but it tastes amazing.
Let's Twinkie it up.